The nightmare billion-dollar fraud scandal rolls on in Minnesota, and now the heat is on that state's most powerful elected officials. Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison are trying hard to defend what they are accused of doing. Prosecutors say it was widespread and organized theft of taxpayer money. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. House Oversight Republicans are accusing Walz and Ellison of looking the other way to avoid political problems with Minnesota's influential Somali community. If you can't get that vote in that community, you can't win in politics in that state. It's very real. Ellison claims everything is under control now, though.
We're glad that we took the action that we did. I convicted over 300 people in the last few years for Medicaid fraud. So we are very able to go after fraud, and we do all the time.
Prosecutors have charged more than 75 people, so they didn't find everybody clearly if they were even looking, in 4 separate ongoing investigations. Here's the Republican Minnesota House Speaker.
We're finally getting that national attention that we need so much here in our state to have full investigations. But you're right, it's over $1 billion in taxpayer dollars that have gone out to fraud instead of going to the people that needed those services the most.
Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer in focus in a moment. I want to go straight to our correspondent, Garrett Tenney, who's been all over the story since it broke. Garrett.
Well, here's the level of fraud investigators are finding in Minnesota is growing by the day. Kelly Loeffler, who leads the Small Business Administration, says in the 2 days her agency has been investigating the state, they've uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud just 2 days in. Several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have also told lawmakers they believe the total amount of fraud could total up to more than $8 billion. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire for all of this happening under his watch. But he says they have paused these programs. They've brought in outside auditors to get an idea of how far-reaching this fraud was. They're taking steps to keep it from happening again. And he's defending his management of the state while also taking shots at Republicans and the president.
And in spite of the headwinds we're up against, Minnesota ranks economically, economic growth, happiness, number of people insured, education levels, near the very top. So I'll tell you what, I have no interest in having this state look like Oklahoma or Mississippi. And if folks are going to commit crimes here, thinking because our generous spirit and our programs that we have is going to give them some kind of cover, they are sadly mistaken.
Yeah, Minnesota is also now home to the single largest pandemic fraud scheme in the country. And Republicans argue that Walz and other Democrats opened the door to this by offering such generous social welfare benefits without any real protections against fraud, and then ignored warnings about that fraud because they didn't want to lose the support of the Somali community.
The whistleblowers that I've spoken to are saying that the governor knew, and the governor and lieutenant governor and even Chris Schmitter, who was his chief of staff, came to them as staff and scolded them for pointing out fraud.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told CNN this week she believes the fraud spiraled out of control because COVID programs were rolled out without sufficient guardrails. It's also worth noting the owner of the restaurant where Omar held her 2018 victory party is among those from the Somali community who have been convicted of profiting from the schemes. Harris?
Look, I don't know. I know this would be public, but I don't know how hard they'd make us work as journalists. But I want a FOIA for those 300-plus arrests that AG Ellison says that he made. I want to know the dates that those arrests, did they coincide with being caught or this coming to light? I want to know who they picked up in the scheme when you just heard a head of small business saying, Kelly Loeffler, there are more people to go out and get. I mean, this is unbelievable. Your last quick word.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting, earlier this week when Governor Walz was asked why is it that he was leaving this up to the feds, why isn't the state doing more? Yeah. He said, we're working with the feds and that we're leading to these federal cases. He didn't answer that question repeatedly, though, of why it is that the state itself hasn't done more to go after these fraud cases.
Wow. And just to hear Tim Walz saying he's working with the feds after every push against ICE, different topic, same attitude, though. So interesting. Now, to save his own hide, he's going to work with the feds for that investigation. Garrett Tenney, thank you. Minnesota's fraud scandal is raising much larger, more far-reaching in implications questions about the welfare state and government bureaucracies across America. The Wall Street Journal editorial board is honing in on that issue that is at the heart of, remember, DOJ's mission to cut out things that weren't working that cost us so much, to cut that. And it's a huge concern for taxpayers. Here's part of that article. The main problem here isn't ethnicity or migration. It's the incentives for indolence and fraud at the heart of the welfare state. And all that free money with few guardrails is an invitation to theft. Columnist Kim Strassel echoes that with this, quote, Minnesota raises to alarm a level a separate need for reset. The system itself, the government machine, is broken. The system serves more as a cash machine for criminals than a safety net for the needy. Here's Republican Senator Joni Ernst.
We need to continue the ability to audit all of those books, all of those funds, those grants that went out through the various COVID programs. I am all on board with going back and exposing what has happened in Minnesota. And let this be a lesson as well, not just to Minnesota, but to all of the fraudsters that exist out there that have taken money that did not belong to them and should not have gone to them.
Well, she's right about that. They're taking a look at other states, including California. That for another day. Let's focus in on this really wildfire going on in terms of politics in Minnesota right now. Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary, Fox News contributor. Ari, how do we not focus in on what the motivation to do something like this would have been? And that is, you cannot win in that state in politics without that Somali community, and they are at the heart of this fraud allegation.
Well, I think there are two issues here. The most fundamental one is the ripping off of the welfare state, which is human nature. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Why does anybody think this is limited to Minnesota or any of the 50 states? This is what people do when the government hands out free money. They create fraud to get more of it. And this is why big government equals big fraud and wasted money. It always has, always will. And what's vital now, and this is where if Walter Ellison, the governor and the attorney general, knew of this and looked the other way, they need to be thrown out of office. Because this is corruption because of the key Somali community, as you referenced, Harris.
Look, how do we look at this in terms of DOJ, Department of Government Efficiency, and all the pushback that Democrats had on this? I'm wondering now, were there some other underlying things going on to push back on that, like this?
Well, that's why I supported DOJ so much. Big government equals big waste. The two just go hand in hand. There will never be sufficient guardrails on any federal spending program because people are always going to figure out a way to cheat it. That's the problem with big government. That's the problem with free money. This is the fruit of the welfare state. Now, keep in mind, too, this is almost 2026. COVID happened 2020 to 2021, 5 to 6 years ago. This is only coming out now.
Right.
What other programs throughout the federal government were full of fraud, and they're only being caught later? So what you need now is high-level prosecutions. People need to go to jail for an excessively long time, and people need to be forced to give the money back. The government can claw money back when it was given out fraudulently like this. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Looks like Minnesota won't do that. Minnesota will just try to let this be swept under the rug because of the importance of the Somali community there. But as the Wall Street Journal was good in pointing out, this is not about ethnicity. This is about government welfare state and the fruits of welfare.
Look, Islamic terrorist group Al-Shabaab is said to have gotten that money. You can't claw that back.
Right.
Wow. All right, let's move to this. And thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.